All right, so as you are filling up your alphabet here, you're going to want to make some selections. You're going to want to clean some things up. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to remember that Control apostrophe toggles the lines on and off. So I can see if there's any spaces or any gaps in here. I can see there's maybe the tiniest little gap in between these two letters here. So I'm going to just sort of stretch that. Oops. Fix that like so. I'm going to hit the check mark. And now if I put that back on here, all right, so I just want to make sure that there's no space in between those letters. And again, by selecting the letter, I can sort of wiggle it to the left and to the right here just a little bit with using my arrow keys on the keyboard. It's maybe a little bit more accurate. Now you'll also notice that when I'm clicking on these layers here, on these letters, it's selecting the letter. The way I did that was I used auto select. All right, when I turn auto select off, I only am on that one layer. When I click auto select, it's going to allow me to jump between the layers. Now this is handy when you're looking for things because remember each letter makes its own layer here on the right hand side. And instead of hunting and pecking over here to try to find the right letter, you can see my selection jumping around there. If I just click on the letter, it'll automatically jump to that right layer. The only problem is that sometimes, and you'll see, when you hit auto select, it starts to get sort of messy because you accidentally select different things and do all sorts of crazy things. So use it sparingly. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to put that grid back on like so, and we are going to adjust the individual layers levels here. Now, I could just go to, I could select my layer, so I could select like the P here, right? And I could go to Image, Adjustments, Levels, and I could adjust the brightness and contrast of this one just like so, right? Whatever, nice and ugly and bright. And I could say OK. The problem is that permanently put that mark on top of that little image right there. So if I go back to Image Adjustments again and I go to Levels, look at this. It destroyed that histogram, right? And it only gets worse from here. Like I can never go back and get my original picture back, or if I make this one too bright, and then I go here and I just, it doesn't match this one, I want to change it. It just ruins that picture. So instead of ruining it, I'm going to use something called the layer mask. So let's go back, edit, step backward, edit, step backward just like that. So I went back to my first step there. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my marquee tool again, which is just this guy right here, right? I'm going to draw a box, and it should be pretty easy if I have my snap to grid on there, just like so. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here to my layers menu, and I'm going to click on this little black and white cookie down here, right? Half black, half white. And you'll notice it says levels here, and all of these adjustments are also under image adjustments are under here. All right, so they're exactly the same. The only difference is on here what it's going to do is it's going to make a layer mask. So hang with me here. So levels. All right. So now this layer mask is above layer 3, and it's only going to affect what's in this little white box right here. All right. So what you're going to do is now I can slide my levels here like this, but it's not permanent, right? So I can leave these as they are. I can go to my next letter. So let's go to, let's see B up here. So let me find my B. I'm going to go to Selecting Tool, Auto Select, B. I'm going to turn Auto Select off. I'm going to use my marquee, and I'm going to select the letter B like this. I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to go to the black and white cookie, and I'm going to say Levels. And look at that. It just selected letter B, which is that little white square here, and everything else is black. And the reason it did that was because I made my selection beforehand. If I don't make a selection, like if I go to layer 4 and I just go to the black and white cookie, see how it makes a white piece over the whole thing? And when I pull these adjustments, it adjusts the whole thing, but I don't want that. So I can just drag this down into the trash can and get rid of that. And I'm just going to adjust these levels here. So now I can adjust the B. Oh, sorry, that was the P. Make sure I'm on the right one here. Adjust my levels here. So you can see if I click on this or this, it makes a little difference here. I'm going to click on the adjustment. And now I can slide the B. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to balance the contrast of all of my letters within my composition. And most of them hopefully should be pretty good. But in case you have a really dark one or a really bright one, you can adjust the levels and try to make that thing fit into it. I mean, obviously this has some shadow problems here, and it's light here and dark on the top. There's some things that we're just not going to be able to fix right now, but we're going to do our best to sort of adjust each level. So now each one has its own individual layer mask on it. So I'm going to go to layer 1. I'm going to use my selecting tool, make sure I got the right one. Yes, I'm going to grab the T, like so, go down to the black and white cookie, go to levels, and then I'm going to increase the contrast of that letter just a little bit. Okay, so there you go. So that's how you're going to adjust the levels. Now if you want to do something very creative, I can go all the way to the top, whatever the topmost top is here, because it's always going to add whatever layer you made blue, it's always going to add that level or layer, whatever, right on top of that blue layer. So I'm going to go all the way to the top, and I'm going to say black and white. And now all of a sudden, look at how everything turned black and white because this is here. If I were to drag this down here, oops, there we go. This one's color. It's hard to see. This one's color over here, and the rest are black and white. But this way, if all of them are under black and white, they'll all be black and white. So your layers menu is like a hierarchy of stack. This one's on the bottom, the next one, the next one, the next one, the next one, and so forth until they get to the top. So the one on the top rules them all. The one on the bottom only rules the one that's happening there. If you didn't want black and white, you could go down here and you could just, you can mess around with some of these. You could go to hue and saturation, see what that does. You could adjust the hue to all these so they could turn a different weird color like this. If you liked a different color, you could oversaturate them so they're really bright. You could desaturate them so they're black and white. You can mess with those too. So that's basically what you're going to do. You're going to get everything all together. Hide your grid so you can see what they look like all in one group. Then when you're all finished, what you're going to do is you're going to go to File. You're going to say Save As because you're going to save yourself a copy, right? And you're going to change this to a JPEG. All right, so that's your JPEG. You're going to go to your desktop. You're going to hit Save. I sometimes put this all the way to the maximum just so it doesn't compress it very much. And I'm going to say OK. And then that's the file you're going to upload to Tumblr. And that's the file you're going to turn into Schoology. And that's about all there is. Good luck.